still chasing fire through the years half slow. Weights on my back, sweat in my eyes. Old man's fight never says die. Old man on the mat, still standing tall. One more round, yeah, I've heard it all. Grip the edge, don't let it slip. Strength in the soul, strength in the grip.
Hey, Old Man on the Mac crew. This is Tony Jones coming up to another great episode of Old Man on the Max. Thanks a lot for just all your support, guys. You guys are buying all the merch on our website, oldmanonthemat.com. I'm just blown away with what you guys are doing there. But hey, I'm fired about this guy we're bringing on today. This guy is what I would consider a man's man. You know what I mean? This guy. Let me tell you a little bit about him. The guy. This is what blows me away. The guy is a professional armed security guard. He's not a mall cop. Ain't nothing wrong with those guys. I'm not knocking them. Not knocking those guys. But he's out there on the front lines doing what law enforcement is not allowed to do at this point. And I think one of the best things about him, I think what's going to push him over the top with the skill level, he's a 3-stripe white belt, man. The man is on the move, man. It's good stuff. But guys, real quick, with that, I'll give you my brother, Damian Bunting. How you doing, brother?
Hello, hello. It's very nice to be here. I'm excited to be on the podcast. This is great. This is awesome.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I know we bounced around a little bit trying to get some time because I know you're out there doing your stuff and hearing what you are doing out there. We're going to jump into some of that. But, you know, you're out there in Oregon, right? In Portland, Oregon. That's not where you were born and raised, correct?
No, I actually grew up in Arkansas, and I spent a large amount of my time in Kansas City, Missouri. I've lived in Philadelphia. I've been all over the country. So I've been here in Portland going on 6 years. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it is a little bit different than the South, right?
Extremely different. Portland, I tell people this, Portland is extremely unique. It is the most unique place I have ever lived. And I'm going to be 100% honest when I say this. I don't mean to offend anybody, but this is the worst place that I've ever lived in my life.
Oh, man.
There's so many great things about it. You know, the weather, it's pretty temperate. It's pretty mild. If you like the outdoors, if you want to be close to, you know, the West Coast in terms of vacations, things like that. But the politics of Portland is just so bad.
Man.
And the reason why I say that is because it literally intersects into every aspect of your life and every aspect of society.
Really?
I told people, you know, when I grew up in Arkansas is a very, very conservative area.
Absolutely, yeah.
My parents grew up under Jim Crow. They were in the Jim Crow era. Went to
They were in the mess.
Yeah, but for the most part, you know, when I lived in the South and when I lived in the Midwest, the politics didn't really intersect with everything. Even here with Jiu-Jitsu, it's highly political. There are gyms that are specifically designed for women or specifically designed for trans or specifically designed
What?
Yeah, I kid you not. This is a
Holy cow.
I'm not passing any judgment on those
Yeah,
places.
absolutely, man. Yeah.
In most of the places where I've lived, there's not spaces that are carved out specifically for something so niche like jiu-jitsu, where it's even more niche, you know, and carved out like that. So interesting.
Man, that's gotta be interesting, man. Oh my gosh. I remember saying I was on social media somewhere and I saw this gym. I don't know where they were. I can't remember where they were, but the guy was really he was talking about he only wanted LGBT, those kind of people coming in. I'm like, really? I thought that was just like, that blew me away. Why would you just want one group? You want everybody, right? You know?
Yeah.
Oh man.
You know, but at the same time, now here's the irony. You have a movement called Old Man on the Mat.
Yeah.
Right? I have, you know, created my social media, my YouTube channel, focusing primarily on men over 40, but even more so, white belts over 40. Because the 40-year-old white belt is a very specific niche of person who's coming in. And I've kind of realized and noticed that, you know, our journey as a 40 and older person who's starting jiu-jitsu, it's so different than someone who's even 30 or 20, right?
That's true.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
when I say that about old man on the mat or white belt goons or the 40-year-old white belt, is it really that much different? We're trying to
Yeah.
carve out a
I get
niche
what you're saying.
and a
Yeah.
place for people. Right as I'm saying that, I'm like, well, we're kind of doing the same thing, and I think that that's
I guess
it's
so.
both
Yeah. Yeah.
positive. It's both positive and negative because part of what makes jujitsu so awesome is that it brings so many different people together. You
It's
have
true.
the garbage man and the CEO. You have the cop and the pothead, right? And everybody's
Yeah.
working together. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I do think that there is some importance to people being able to see themselves in this sport.
Yeah, I love the way you put that, man. You're absolutely right. That is. I never thought about that. You're right. Because I look at us. Like you said, older people getting on the mat. That's a huge group that's starting to grow. And most guys, and you said I talked to a lot of guys, and a lot of guys before they came on the mat, they didn't know what to do at this age. They were just thinking, "How do we gonna do that? I don't want to get injured, or I'm
Yeah,
nervous about it, or what do I do?" On the other side of that, you got all these young bucks who are ready to jump on us in a minute, so they come on the mat anyway. So it's a blend.
yeah. You walk in over 40, and that white belt that's been getting tapped for the last 6 months, he's like, "Sign that waiver, bro.
I
Sign that
know,
waiver. Yeah, come on over. I got you. I got
man. I say one of the funniest things happened. I was at an open mat. I was a white belt. This was a few years ago. Heck, I'm only a blue belt. Don't get me wrong. I'm not in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm only a blue belt. Not only. I'm a
you."
blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, black belt, and a couple different other arts. It was on the open mat, man. And I'm this young guy, man, he was stacked. This dude, he was one of those rock solid. I just, I don't have a girlfriend, so I'm gonna kill everybody. Young guy. And this guy, because I'll roll with anybody,
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
he's like, you want to roll? I'm like, sure. I'm thinking it's gonna be a friendly little tap tap. Okay, this guy, he shot a double leg on me, tried to throw me across the room. It was crazy, man. I'm fighting for my life, and the cool thing, my coach saw that, and he was like, "Hey, you did all right, Tony." He says, "Let me go in here." He schooled that young guy.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
So
I get
man,
it,
that's
and,
funny.
and I'm guilty. I'm guilty of both sides of that, and I think that my personal journey through jujitsu has been way more difficult than I think it needs to be because
Huh,
I have a lot of deep-seated emotional issues from growing up. Um,
Gotcha.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, just I told you off the air, my parents came up under Jim Crow, segregated
Yeah.
South. I was first generation that grew up in a diverse, multicultural neighborhood.
Wow.
And my parents had a lot of trauma, clearly,
Yeah.
coming up in the
Oh yeah.
50s. They had a lot of trauma. And so, I don't fault them for a lot of the things that they did or the ways that they raised us. They did a great job in terms of raising us, but there was some trauma there. And so a lot of that comes up in situations where how I relate to people that are in charge, whether it's a boss, whether it's a coach,
Ah,
you know, I put myself in situations where I'm always looking for this this camaraderie and this mentorship and this leadership. And sometimes, as I've gotten older and I've gone through therapy, I can kind of, you know, transpose this image on somebody, and that's not what they're signing up for. The coach is like, "Hey, I come in every, 3 or 4 days a week. I teach jujitsu. I'm here to teach jujitsu. I'm not here to be your sensei or your mentor or your
I get
guru."
what you're saying. Yeah.
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 But, for someone, and I think that a lot of guys, and this goes back to the white belt over 40, I think that a lot of guys, when they hit that age, you're starting to see that you're at that midlife. That's what they say, a midlife
Mm,
crisis, right? You
yeah.
realize that you have more days behind you than you do in front of you.
Yeah.
And a lot of
Yeah.
times, guys, when they get to this age, my kids, I was telling you off camera, my kids have already graduated from college. They're starting their life. I've been in the military. I've had my own businesses. I've had several successes in life, but I've had a ton of failures. And I think that when men find themselves at this point, this apex of life, you go, I need to do something. I need to test myself, or I need to get back in shape, or I need to,
Yeah.
create these relationships with men again because I've been so focused on my family or so focused on work. And so it's very easy. And I know that I'm not the only person who feels this way because I've had so many people that
Absolutely not.
who've
Yeah.
reached out me on social media and said, "Man, you hit the nail on the head. You articulated something that I was feeling, but I couldn't verbalize." And it's
That's awesome.
this need for it's not validation, because I think that, like, at the core in jiu-jitsu, the thought process is you should come here, you should humble yourself, you should enjoy the process. Well, entering a sport and enjoying the process and being humble is way easier when you're 17 or you're 20.
Right.
If you're
You're right.
if you're 48, I don't have 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, objectively speaking, I don't have 20 years to go, "Hey, I'm just going to enjoy the process." Now, that's something that I've come to understand recently, that at the end of the day, I can't force my coaches to promote me any faster. I can't make my body do moves that it physically can't do. I can't make my mind retain information any better than it does, right? So my journey through jujitsu is going to be as long as it is. If I stay on the mats for 20 years, there's no guarantee that I'm going to get a black belt. There's no
That's true.
guarantee that I'll get any better, but it's like it takes time for me, and I'm assuming other people, to understand that this journey is your own journey, and that what the people who are on the mat are doing, how fast they're progressing, whether or not they're good or whether or not they're able to advance, it has nothing to do with you. But for men who are at this point in life where maybe they're questioning where they went wrong, they're questioning what they have left in the tank, it's a very difficult process to kind of tear those walls down and allow yourself to be vulnerable and show the world, "Hey, I'm bad at something."
Yeah. 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 I do, man. As you're talking, I'm listening. I'm pinpointing thought processes. Just, yep. That's the way I thought coming in here. That's the way I thought now. That's the way I'm thinking now. I love that, man. I love that. And you got that same mindset from just your experience out there, or from after you said you went to therapy a couple times, and or you just decided to. I don't. Do you do a lot of reading of books? I don't know. How'd you get
Yeah,
to that
I
thought
mean,
process?
a little bit of all of it, to be honest with you. But,
Okay.
what brought me to jujitsu was, I told you, my job, they are increasingly here in the area, the community policing aspect of what we do, interacting with the homeless community, responding to calls for, shoplifting or petty theft, things like that. Like, that's a lot of what we're being tasked to do, which the general idea of private security is that mall cop, the
That's what it
concierge
is. Yep.
security that sits in a
Yep.
lobby. We don't do that. We're driving a car, a patrol car. We're responding to calls where someone is, belligerently refusing to leave a restaurant, and maybe they have a machete. There's all of
Oh
these
my
issues that
gosh.
happen in Portland where police, because of the drawbacks or the politics of certain situations, they're not responding to these calls for service. And so security has been filling those gaps. When I was working in 2020, 2021, it just really dawned on me, from what I was seeing and what I was being involved in, that I needed to get some grappling experience. Like, even in situations where you're not in a full knockdown, drag out fight, you're still having to protect yourself. And a lot of times in these situations with people who are homeless or mentally ill, you're having to subdue them, but keep them safe without them hurting themselves. And so I
Right.
saw this great benefit of jujitsu, and I'm like, "Hey, let me get into this and let me learn." But true to form, like every other man who's out there, my thought process walking into the gym was, I'm just going to go. I'm going to do 2 classes a week. This will be great for exercise. I'll learn some techniques. I'll be better able to
Uh-huh.
protect myself. But then you get in there and it's like the 20-year-olds kicking your ass, the 15-year-olds kicking your ass. You're
Oh
around this
yeah.
testosterone and these younger guys, and you start thinking to yourself, you know what? Okay, wait till next week. I'll show you. And
Yeah.
then
I'll be back.
before you know it, you're 6 months in, and now I've bought, $3,000 worth of instructionals, and I've got a damn grappling dummy in the living room. And it's like, I was at the gym today, the fitness gym, lifting weights, and I'm like, bro, like, what are you doing? You're not in this to be a professional fighter. You're not in this to be, You
Yeah.
know, you're not Gordon Ryan, you're not Josh Saunders. Like, you got to go to work tomorrow, bro. So
Right.
I'm trying to find a balance, and I'm trying
Yeah.
to find
Yeah.
um I'm trying to find a balance, and that's been very difficult for me for the last couple of months. Yeah.
I see what you mean, though. I tell you, if any advice I can give anyone, I try to give anyone of our age going through that because like you've been on the mat with a bunch of older guys or even young guys, and it's a competition every day. It's a room full of unneeded testosterone energy or ego in there. It can be, not all the time. It can be though. And what I learned to do, I don't know if it's just from my past, because I've been in martial arts since I'm 8 years old, and everybody, if you listen to my earlier podcast, I went over that, the black belts in Kodokan Jiu-Jitsu, the black belt in Hapkido, I've done judo, I've done Muay Thai, I've done, sword, I've done all those things. And so when I found Jiu-Jitsu, I came into it with the right mindset. I think that this is me thinking that because I've done all that stuff earlier, that when I came on the mat to learn, because I really sought out Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because I heard so much about it, and I said, let me try it. I want to see what this is about, because I'm always learning, different self-defense. If it's not weapons, it's something. I just believe in self-defense all around, right? So when I got there, I went in and I realized I was going through the door, realized I'm going there to learn something new and I'm gonna have fun doing it. And I tell you, from that point on, from the moment I walked in, I never had a problem with getting beat up. Never had a problem with letting that take control. Like you were saying, hey, I got to work tomorrow. I'm not going to try to, I'm not going to try to get my arm broken or whatever. They called me the tapper for a reason.
Yeah.
I tap so fast. I just start tapping. You look at me wrong, I start tapping. You know what I mean? So, and I'm not going on my tangent or anything, but I want, and I think more guys out there, if they go into it with the mindset of like, I'm going to learn something. And I know you said earlier, it's hard to enjoy that ride because we don't have so many, only so many years left. But it is, in my mindset, I have to enjoy it. If I don't enjoy it, I'm not going to do it. You know what I mean? If I don't take it as serious as I did when I was younger, full of testosterone, full of that energy, I just got to burn off. I'm too old for that, man. I'm a smiler.
You bring up a great point, but the problem is that that's easier said than done for some people.
You're right. You're right. You're right.
I've had this conversation 700 times. I've had this conversation with every black belt that's a coach at my gym. I've had this conversation with the purple belts who are coaches at my gym. I've had this conversation with blue belts who are further ahead of me. I've had this conversation. Everything that you just said is the proper mind frame for doing this sport, whether you're 20 or whether you're 50, right? My mind doesn't operate like that. I went back to school. So like, I when I graduated, my parents were like, hey, the day you turn 18, you got to be out of this house.
Wow.
There was no effort or plan to send me to college. It was never discussed. It was never talked about. It was like, when you turn 18, get out. So I immediately joined the military, right? I go into the military, I do X, Y, and Z, whatever. But I always wanted to go to college. And so like from the time that I graduated back in the 90s up until recently, like I have tried to go back to school 2 other times, right? And both of those times I was unsuccessful. I couldn't do it and I failed out. 2 years ago, I made the decision. I am getting my degree. My son is 28 years old, and in June, he's going to graduate with his doctorate from UC Davis.
Oh, man. Congratulations. You did something great, Dad.
My oldest daughter, like I told you, she graduated from Murray State. So I'm like, look, I've got these kids who are killing it. And I know that I'm not an ignorant person. I'm not up until recently, I wasn't educated through the school system, but I was self-educated, right? But I wanted that piece of paper. I wanted that degree. I said, no matter what, my dad never got a degree. My mom never got a degree. My sister never got a degree. I want that piece of paper that says I completed this. So I did what I had to do, enrolled in classes, and I got my degree in 2024. And so,
hey, congratulations, brother.
Thank you.
Love it, man.
But my point in that is like, in doing that, I didn't go into that situation and the school say, hey, look, we know you want to get a degree. Just keep showing up. Yeah, just keep showing up, paying, and one day it'll all work out. No, they gave me a roadmap. They said, Come to
Yeah.
this many classes, get this many credits, and if you pass, you're going to get your degree. Jiu-jitsu
Yeah.
doesn't work like that.
No.
And so for
No.
me, that's been the hardest thing is like, I want to know, hey, am I getting better? Am I progressing? And my coaches are like, well, you're still here and you're
Yeah,
doing
I know
well,
that story.
blah blah. But you know,
Yeah.
but for
Yeah.
me, for a lot of people, that lack of a discernible path that says do X, Y, and Z, and this is your reward, that's
I get
very
that. Yeah.
difficult. And that's something that I have to own and be understanding that that's my cross to bear and my thing to deal with, which I am.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah.
so many people who don't understand that people are out there like me with my mindset, the idea is like, well, then you just can't do jujitsu. If you don't like it, then go somewhere else. And we end up losing so many good
Losing.
people
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
pushing
You're
people
right.
out of the sport that are good for it, you know?
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, man. And I talk about this quite a bit when in that jujitsu has a lot of pluses and minuses, and like any art, you know what I mean. Anything has a lot of pluses and minuses. But you go into jujitsu, sometimes there're going to be a lot of dicks there. It's going to be a lot of ego, chest bumping. You've seen them. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
Uh, and when I ran into those things, I just had to have the mindset of, that's that guy's problem, not mine. You know what I mean? So I'm always the guy on the mat that is just laughing, tapping. You tap me, I'm like, great, good job. I'm gonna make you work for it. You may get me 13 times in a row, but you're gonna work for each and every one of those, and that's how I'm judging myself of getting better. But you know what? You're right. There's so many different people to come into in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, like yourself, who need that map. So how do you deal with that? How do you handle that when you go on the mat and you're looking for that plan, that roadmap to get you from A to Z, and to know that you're getting better?
I know both subjectively and objectively I've gotten better, clearly.
Okay.
I started in July of 24. So I'm approaching my 2-year mark, right? And when I
Awesome.
started, I was 272 pounds.
What?
Yeah, I'm 230 right now.
Brother, I saw you on some pictures, dude. I'm like, this dude, you're chiseled all over the place, man. You're doing your stuff. Holy cow.
And a lot of that, I'm not going to say that it's solely related to jiu-jitsu, but you get into it and you're like, hey, I'm gassing out. So you start doing cardio and you're like, hey, I'm too weak to deal with the people that are putting me in side control. So you start, exercising more. I quit drinking. I, have gotten my diet under control. I put so much more focus into getting healthier so that I can be better on the mat. So I've gone from
Good
272
stuff.
to 230. I've competed, I think 5 times. I know subjectively and objectively I've gotten better, but I'm actually in this, and you'll probably be able to relate to this. I'm in this weird place where I was listening to I don't know if it was a John Danaher conversation or someone else, but they were talking about the levels of competence, how you have unconscious incompetence. That's where everybody starts. You don't know what you don't know, right?
Gotcha.
And then
Gotcha. Yeah.
the next stage up is conscious incompetence, where you go, wow, I don't know anything, right?
Ah, okay.
The next step up from that is conscious competence, where you can do something, but you have to think about it, right?
Okay.
And then you
Okay.
reach that final stage, which is unconscious competence. You do it in your sleep, right? So
Hmm.
most black belts are unconsciously competent. They can do
Yeah.
a triangle on you while they're reading a magazine. They can
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
they can roll you up and fold you while you're in your clothes while they're doing their taxes, right?
While they're taking a phone call, you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
And so I'm at that stage right now where I have a small amount of conscious competence in a very small amount of skills. And I have a
Okay.
very large amount of understanding that I am consciously incompetent. And I think that this is a very difficult place for a lot of people, especially guys over the age of 40, because in what other avenue of life, when you're at the age of 40 plus, are you consciously in? It's very little. Generally, whatever we're doing for work, we've been there long enough to know what we're doing.
Yep. Yep.
You know your wife. We even know our kids. We know this kid I can be hard on. This kid
Yeah.
use kid gloves.
Yep.
Don't say anything
Yeah.
to the baby. She'll get upset.
Uh-huh.
So
Yep.
when we're willfully allowing ourselves to be involved in something, a sport like jiu-jitsu, and you recognize what you don't know, and then you get to this point where you have enough understanding of the sport that you can actually look and see, man, there's the black belt down there. There's the finish line. That's a long way. I might never get there. Okay, understanding that, are you still going to stay? And this is why I think
Mm.
so many men over the age of 40, they quit after the first
Yeah.
2-3 months or the first year,
Yeah.
or when you're getting to
Yeah.
the place where I am. And my coaches, God bless them, their stance is like, hey, you're older, you're coming in, you're working, maybe 2 to 4 days a week, you're doing a good job, but hey, none of that matters, bro. Like either you're gonna meet the standard or you're not. We have a
Well, you're
standard.
not. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's difficult. Are you willing to, as a grown man who pays your own bills, pays taxes, has been
Yeah.
successful in life in other areas, can
Yeah.
you still go into that gym and keep swinging that axe, even though that tree might
Yeah.
not fall for a while?
Yeah. That's a measure of a man. It really is. And you said this earlier, you that's that question you give yourself because, like you said, we've been successful in things. We're old. We're old. Hey, we're old farts. We're at that stage, that we know what we know. We don't even care about what we don't know. What we know has made us this far, and we're comfortable there. So going on the mat and just, man, you walk on the mat for the first time and you're getting just manhandled by some guy who's like 40 pounds lighter than you. You know what I mean? And younger than and manhandled. It's very uncomfortable. If you don't have the right mindset, you will walk away.
Getting manhandled on day one, I don't think anybody trips on that. Most
You don't
guys
think
come
so?
in,
Okay.
most guys come in and go, man, that was crazy. When you're getting manhandled by the person who's 40 pounds lighter at year 2, will you show up the
Yeah.
next day?
Yeah.
The thing that no one that it's not that someone didn't tell me this, but the thing that I never processed when I first started is that when you walk into a school and you've got X amount of guys on the mat, guys, girls, everybody on the mat, your development is moving at a certain pace. But guess what? When you get to that 2-year mark, those other people have been on the mat for 2 years too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when you get there day one and the person who's 40 pounds lighter wipes your ass, you go, okay, well, maybe I got a lot to learn. So you put in your 2 years, but guess what? So did that person. At
Yeah.
year at day at day year 2, when you're like, okay, now I'm gonna go in there and deal with this person who was 40 pounds lighter. Well, they got 2
No,
more years of experience too, bro. So don't think you're gonna
exactly.
just, you know what I mean? And so like that's the thing that messes with your mind.
Oh yeah. I
Because
get it.
you'll
You're not
because
wrong,
you'll
brother.
because you'll look. I'm having a realization in real time. This is a perfect conversation, and I appreciate you having me on because this is giving me some clarity in real time. You're seeing me work something out in my head. The guy that goes to the gym 3 days a week for 2 years and looks around and goes, I'm not getting any better. No, you are. But the other people are getting better too. So
Yeah.
your growth doesn't seem exponentially higher because
Yeah.
you've all
Yeah.
grown over 2 years. So you look
Yeah.
across and you go, man, that guy's still above me. He's supposed to. He was there when you weren't even there. And then
Exactly.
you came in at day one and you were here. And now it's 2 years later and you're here and you're like, damn it, I'm not getting any better. No, you are. But so
Yeah.
are they.
Yeah.
And your
Yeah.
desire to be better doesn't trump the next person on the mat who also has more desire. And guess what? He's 20. And guess what? He lives at home
Exactly.
and doesn't have to pay rent. He doesn't have to
He's
go
got
to
no
work tomorrow.
frustrations. Bingo, brother.
There you go.
Bingo.
There you go. Give me my blue belt. I made it.
I made it. I've arrived.
I figured it out. Give me my
Brother, you are
blue.
not wrong, man. But that goes to that old saying. I'm sure a lot of people take it for granted or just take it as a saying or fluff. Just be better than you were yesterday. And I have a tendency to take those things seriously. If I don't feel like I'm better than was yesterday on something, then I beat myself up. And we all have those mental conversations, right or wrong. We beat ourselves up worse than anybody else.
I saw a great video There's a guy on Instagram. His name is Xavier, big black dude. You've probably seen his videos.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Phenomenal.
Man, he's like blitzing two people, man. Just
he
man.
shared this video where this guy said, the way you win a football game. He asked another guy, he says, how do you win a football game? And he says, well, whoever scores more touchdowns. And he says, no. He goes, the way you win a football game is to get more first downs than the other team. He says, if you get more first downs and you continue getting first downs, eventually you get a touchdown. He goes, but the team who's trying to get a touchdown, they're throwing Hail Marys, they're running plays, they're doing all kinds of stuff. He goes, if you boil it down and you focus on just getting the first down, just get the first down, just get the first down. And I was like, man, what a great mindset for jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You go into a role and you're like, I'm going to submit this person. It's not even about that. Just, can you get your grips first? Can you maintain posture? Can you get the takedown? Okay, you got the takedown. Can you get dominant position? Can you control him for a little bit? Can you cook him? Can you get your mount?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
Small little things. All these small little,
Yeah, buddy. Oh, yeah. That's good, man. And I think he played professional football, didn't he, or something like that, Xavier?
I wouldn't doubt it.
Like
He's a beast. I wouldn't doubt it.
He's a monster, man. We're talking the same guy. I saw a video of him doing his, showing his workout before he goes and does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The guy is like a monster, all this crazy stuff. And then he goes in and trains. I'm like, what is wrong with this dude, man? That's a month of workout for me.
Young.
Exactly, man. Well, let me ask you this. Being an older guy, as I always say, the old fart club, that's the team I'm in, man. What is your workout routine like? Your daily getting up, moving forward to get you better healthy. You know what I mean? What's your daily routine look like?
A decade ago, I got in the absolute best shape of my life in 2015. I went like I was so obsessed with fitness. And so at that point in time, I was doing pull-ups and dips and ungodly amounts of miles on the road. And so it literally has destroyed my shoulders. I cannot do a pull-up or a chin-up to save my life. My shoulders just take it.
Yeah.
But I found that I really enjoy working with kettlebells.
I love kettlebells. Yeah.
The stabilization of kettlebells. And so my workouts, I do the same workout almost every single time that I go to the gym. I have a gym here at my house. I have a gym down the street. But yeah, it's nothing crazy. I do anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes. It just consists of different variations of kettlebell swings. I do incline push-ups. I do flat push-ups. I do sit-ups, leg lifts. I'll walk, my dog. We have a little route that's about 1.5 miles. I walk my dog.
Yeah.
But aside from that, man, that's pretty much it. It's kettlebells. It's
That's
dumbbells.
good.
I don't do any bench press. I don't do, any dips or squats or any of that kind of stuff. It's all body weight or kettlebell weight. And I try and keep it to 30 or 45 minutes and very, very simple. Yeah.
Okay. I like that. And we think the exact same way, man. I was the same. My shoulders are shot, man. Like, when I was doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu all the time, my shoulders are just dead from all the years of fighting, all this stuff. So I use kettlebells every day. I have dip bars that I have, those portable ones you stand up, because I told you I travel a lot.
Yeah.
So I have these dip bars that I do. They're inclined, so I'm just doing slight dips to save my shoulders. And I do kettlebell presses. I just put the kettlebell right in the center and pump, just so I can get a little swelling in the chest, get that blood. So my shoulders, I don't start crying halfway through, man. So I like that, man. Another kettlebell guy. I like it. Oh, man. But you know what? Kettlebell's a great workout, man. Like you said, all the stabilization, trying to handle this ball on this little handle. That takes a lot, man. It builds your forearms.
Yeah.
Every kettlebell workout is a full body workout. It really is, man.
I've had so much success with kettlebells over the last 6 months. I'm like, man, where have these been my whole life?
Yeah, I love them, man. I love them. Now, what's your nutrition look like? Are you like a carnivore, vegan? What do you do?
I eat high protein, and then I try to, regulate how I feel. If I'm feeling really, really weak, I eat dry toast. But again, I'm kind of a creature of habit. I eat a lot of sweet potatoes, a lot of ground beef, a lot of sausage. The economy is not what it used to be, so my steak has gone down. I'm eating a lot of a lot of ground beef and stuff. But I I don't go super hard on my diet, but I also don't eat a lot of junk food.
That's
I
cool.
don't
Yeah.
drink soda. I don't drink alcohol anymore. I try to keep my carbs to complex carbohydrates like broccoli, sweet potatoes, things like that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. I wish that I had a more elaborate diet, but I pretty much eat the same 8 to 10 things, every week.
Dude,
My wife,
are
she's
we
always
twins?
like, my wife is always like, 'cause she buys the groceries, she does the grocery order,
Yeah.
and she's like, "Do you want
Yeah.
anything different?" And I go,
No.
she's just like, "Oh my gosh."
Oh man, I get it, brother. We must be twins because I'm telling you, I'm a creature of habit. The same
Yep.
thing. If it's working, why break it? I don't know if
I
it's just
know.
our personalities or it's our age. We're just like, I
Yeah.
know I like this. I'm gonna eat. I do this. I mean, steak, chicken, ground beef. I eat a lot of sardines. I love sardines. High protein
Sardines are
sardines.
the bomb, yeah.
Uh, yes, and
Yeah.
olive oil.
Yep.
My girl, she was like, I brought some sardines at home one day, and she's like, you eating those things all day. I'm gonna try them. I know they're gross, but I'm gonna try 'em." I said they're great. She eats one, and she could have threw up. I was like, "Don't you waste those sardines. Get away from my sardines."
Don't tell her how Caesar dressing is made.
Exactly, man, and she loves a Caesar salad. I'm like,
Mhm.
there's
Yeah,
some,
you got some sardines in there, right?
right? But, man, that's cool, though, man. I think I don't know if it's, like I said, just our age, but if it works for our bodies, it works for our bodies. We know what our body what it likes, what it doesn't like, you know what I mean? Oh, now you do supplements also?
I do, so there's the company Animal. You can get them on Amazon, and the
Animal?
Animal
Okay.
supplement, they have like a fat burner stack. They have a test booster stack. Now, I don't know how well they work, but I always try to find a supplement that agrees with me. I've taken supplements over the last decade, and some will really give me. I have a very sensitive stomach, right?
Okay, gotcha.
So this is a brand and a company where, again, there's two specific supplement stacks from this company. One's the red one and one's the yellow. I don't know which one is which, but they agree with my stomach. They don't make me too jittery. And I've had good results. When I say good results, I mean I'm not shredded or anything, but I feel like they're
Yeah,
working. I feel they're good and they're,
you feel good.
multivitamin, yeah. So, aside from that, just creatine. One of the local gyms that I go to, they have a smoothie bar where they make little acai type smoothies, and I get creatine
Okay,
put in that. I do a creatine supplement here at the house. So basically, it's just creatine and then the two uh, animal supplements, one for fat burning and one for test booster, and that's it.
okay,
Lots of sweet
okay,
potatoes.
that's good, man.
Yeah.
Alright, okay, good. I'm gonna check that out, man. I'm gonna check those guys out. Wrote them animal supplements because I take a lot of supplements because I'm always trying to find. I look at each individual for this and for that and all this stuff. And one that I found that works very well is that ancestral. I'm sure you've heard of those guys with all the
Okay. Yeah.
animal protein and all the animal byproducts and all that stuff. And it seems to work for me. It could be in my head, but I think it works for me. You know what I mean? Everything works for somebody. And I tried creatine for a while there, but I kept feeling like I was bloated. I don't think I was burning enough, lifting enough, maybe, but I was
Yeah.
feeling so bloated all the time. So I just stopped taking it. Is that how you felt when you first started doing it? Or are you doing a, real
Well, see,
small amount?
there's two types of creatine. There's the creatine isolate, and there's the creatine monohydrate. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the isolate is the one that can cause you to bloat just a little bit.
Okay.
The monohydrate
Okay.
is, and when we get off, I'll send you a screenshot of the ones that I use.
Oh,
Once I
awesome, man.
started
Thank you.
taking,
Yeah.
yeah, once I started taking this other one, I haven't had any bloating issues. But
Okay.
when I go to the gym, the first thing that I do is go sit in the sauna. I sit in the sauna for 15 minutes and try and lean out, and get a lot of that impurities and moisture out, and then go and work. And then, when you're working out and you're getting that pump, it looks a lot better
Yeah.
too, with
Oh,
that
yeah.
water.
And you feel good looking in the mirror, walking by, flexing a little bit.
You're like, dang, boy, your boy out here killing it. Yeah. So, yeah.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, send me that. I love checking out new stuff, man. Because I figure
Absolutely.
like this: the Bible says the man has 120 years. I'm looking for them all. I'm looking for them all. You know what I mean? I want them all, man.
I hope to get somewhere in that vicinity.
There you go, man. Let's jump on something else here. You're talking about your security guard system. You do. Your How did you get involved in that?
So I was in the military. When I got out of the military, I worked in different areas of law enforcement. I worked as a corrections officer. I was a state constable in Pennsylvania, which is similar to a sheriff's deputy. In Pennsylvania, they still use magisterial rule for um, like your townships and some of your more rural areas. So they have
Okay.
magistrates instead of judges, and they use constables instead of sheriffs. So you do service of process, you arrest for misdemeanors, and you can transport to jail, things like that. So, I've always had a military and a law enforcement background. And then in 2016, I was pretty much done with all that. I didn't want to do it. I just wanted to, work a regular job and get out of the public sector in terms of doing that kind of stuff. But then in 2020, the George Floyd situation happened. And so we're in COVID. I had a fitness center that I was running and it shut down due to COVID. And then I'm sitting there watching, the protests and everything that happened with George Floyd. And I made the decision that so many cops were leaving and so many cops, I'm watching this whole situation unfold. I'll never forget. I was watching a press conference with the police union from New York City. And the police union chief was out there and he was talking to the camera and basically, there was all these calls for accountability. There was all these calls um for social justice and changes within the policing department, the policing community as a whole. And this uh union president, he was so defiant. And he was like, if you guys don't like what we're doing and you don't like how we do business, then fine, we'll quit and the city can suffer. And I was thinking to myself, what a great opportunity right now for everyone, for police, for the community, for government, like for everybody to have this moment of reckoning and go, okay, let's reassess things, right? So long story short, I just made the decision like, hey, if people don't want to do this job, then I'll do it. So I applied for my local police department. I went through the testing, I went through the physical, and I had my board meeting with the lieutenant. And the lieutenant told me, he goes, and at the time I'm like maybe 39 or 40, I guess, or somewhere around there. And he says, hey, we're going to offer you this job. And like I said, I was in a small area of Missouri. It was going to be a 5-year contract and it was $35,000 a year. My wife was like, you can
Mhm.
make $35,000 working at Walmart. You know,
Yeah. It's
do
like,
you
man,
really
put your life online for that.
Yeah, exactly. Do you really wanna go
Yeah.
out and this is 2020, like, everything was falling apart. She was like, "Do you really wanna go and be a part of that?" So, we made the decision to move to Portland. I put in for the sheriff's department out here, and everything was moving so fast. They were like, "Oh my god, yeah, we'd love to have you come out, do this, do that." I'm testing, I'm interviewing, everything's going great, and we make the decision, we're moving to Portland because it looked like it was a done deal. And right when I got out here, that's when all the riots in Portland kicked off. If you remember
Oh, wow. Oh, I
2020,
remember, man.
the summer of love, like it was crazy, right? So,
Exactly.
um,
Insane.
they shut everything down. They stopped the hiring process. And so I was already out here. We had already moved and now I need work. So
Wow.
I went to the grocery store across the street and these cops were working at the grocery store. And I'm talking to the guy and he says, yeah, we do armed security, off duty armed security. And so they gave me the number to the company and I got in, started working security for this company, which at the time was all off duty police officers. And due to the riots and everything that was going on, the police department pulled all of their cops off of the off duty details.
Oh,
So,
man.
yeah, so it ended up being a privatized situation at this point where all of the security guards were now just private security. But we were getting paid a pretty decent wage. Our uniforms are very similar. And then, as I told you, over the last 6 years, everything that's happened here has just kind of whittled away at the responsibilities of police on the street in terms of the community policing aspect of things. Um, I have flirted with going back into law enforcement in 2022, 2023. I went through, I would say, 3 or 4 different interviews, but every interview came with explain your tattoos, document your tattoos. Are you willing to wear a turtleneck if we put you on the street? Will you wear gloves at all times? And yeah, at the time.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
my point in bringing all that up is I really had to ask myself at 40 plus, I've already been in the military. I've already lived my life answering these questions. I've already lived under bureaucracy of, you know, what, all of this kind of stuff. And so working in security, I have an opportunity to do things and help people and be in a capacity where people need help. The people in Portland who either own businesses, run businesses, or work in businesses. The people that own, live, or work in residential communities and apartment complexes and hotels, those people need help, and they need help in the immediate. And for the last 6 years, police response has been over 30 minutes to something
What?
like, yes, to something as serious as a homeless person suffering from mental illness with a machete or with a gun. The police response would be over 30 minutes. So I always tell people, I'm like, you know, I work in a job and I work in an area of town where I have an immediate impact every single day. I've responded to homicides. I've responded to
Man.
robberies, like the things that we do and the things that we see. I've seen probably 8 people in the last 4 years die on the street. Like, the
Wow.
things that I see and the things that I'm involved in are more than enough to keep me satisfied in terms of knowing that I'm doing something and making a difference. So it's been an experience. It really has. But it's also been very difficult. It's been very difficult from a mental health standpoint to be involved in all of that.
How do you go home every day and close your eyes and shut it all off?
It's hard. I mean, I used to drink a lot.
Yeah.
I used to drink.
Yeah.
I could not sleep unless I got blackout drunk. And
Wow, man.
that's what led to me putting on so much weight. So how do I deal with it now? I go to jiu-jitsu.
There you
I
go.
go to the gym, I work out. I have 2 dogs. I put my time into my dogs. Um,
Yeah.
but it's still difficult. And I think that this has also been a huge issue with jiu-jitsu because, and I think this is important to say, a lot of men, older men over the age of 40, who are looking for an escape. I think a lot of men find themselves in a very similar situation that I did, where work is stressful, life is stressful. You feel like you're losing yourself, right? So you find jujitsu, and everybody says, from Joe Rogan to Jocko Willick to everybody on Instagram, oh, jujitsu saved my life. Jujitsu saved my life. And so a
Yeah.
lot of us go into it thinking that it is going to save our lives. And jujitsu can be extremely therapeutic, but it's not therapy. Jujitsu can be very family oriented, but it's not your family.
Mhm.
Your
Yeah.
coach can be a great example and a great mentor. He's not your father. And that has been something that I've had to come to terms
Yeah.
with. And I think a lot of other men, if they're coming into this trying to fill a gap or a hole, you're going to find down the road that it's just as empty as anything else. You have to understand what you're here for, what you're getting out of it, and keep it in its proper place. Because I see so many people that, and like myself, you just get so wrapped up in it and you love it and it's
Oh,
fun.
yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
before you
That's
know
your
it,
life now.
yeah, it's your life. And
Yeah. Yeah.
you find that it's just as unfulfilling in terms of the grand scheme of things as everything else.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I tell people, don't make jujitsu be your identity. That's not who you are. It's a piece of the puzzle. Yeah, go and do your thing and let's all steam, help you with this, that, and other. But you can't be identified by, oh, you're the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy. Let me tell you all this other stuff. I think that's a mistake that we're allowing to happen. And I understand it's a culture. We're all trying to be a part of something, but don't let it define who you are as a person.
That
That's just my humble but accurate opinion.
I agree. And I used to laugh at guys like that because a decade ago it was CrossFit. So like
That's right.
a decade ago,
That's
you'd see a guy and he'd have like a CrossFit shirt, CrossFit shorts, CrossFit pants, and he's
right.
jacked and he's drinking a certain drink because it's a CrossFit drink, and you're like, bro, like
Yeah.
that's your entire identity. But here
Calm
I
down.
am a decade later in jujitsu, and I'm damn near walking around in my gi, I'm like, Like, what is
I
going
know.
on?
I know, man. I get it, man. You're not wrong, man. I like what you said. A decade ago, it was CrossFit.
It was,
You
yeah.
know, if everything's changed so much. Have you been? Were you into martial arts before jiu-jitsu, or is that your first, venture into martial arts?
I mean, I'm almost 50, so when I was a kid, I did karate when that was big, but
Yeah.
I never put any real time into it. And one of my biggest regrets is like where I grew up, we didn't have any wrestling in school. I wish I would have wrestled in
Oh,
school,
man, wrestling was where it's
but
at.
no, this has been my first real, dedicated time in a martial art.
Man, and I'm asking that because your mindset about it is point on. It's like guys who've been in martial arts before or have had some experience, and then they come in jiu-jitsu and they just take it with a grain of salt. And you have that mindset where you are taking it with a grain of salt. You take what you can get from it and leave the rest. You know what I mean? And I commend you on that, man. That's a martial artist mindset, man. I commend you on that, man.
Well,
I really do.
I've coached at a very high level. I've coached at the elite level of gymnastics, and so
Oh wow.
I also think that that's part of like some of my negative experience with jiu-jitsu is because having coached at a very high level, I see things from that perspective. And so it's taken me a long time to get to a point where it's like, you're not coaching yourself here. You don't get to run the practice. You don't get to do what you think is the best way to go about doing X, Y, and Z. There's been a
Yeah.
lot of there's been a lot of unlearning and a lot of humbling myself. Most
Yeah.
people who come into this sport, like we said earlier, you're humbling yourself in terms of, hey, I'm the CEO at my company, and I'm coming in here and listening to someone who's 15 years younger than me, who's a black belt.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
difficult in and of itself. I'm coming
Mhm.
into the situation not only from that perspective, but also the perspective of I've put 11 kids in college on full scholarships. I am very adept at coaching elite level concepts, but I can't coach myself in jiu-jitsu because I have no idea what I'm doing. And so that's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
difficult to like understand how to coach and understand um the mindset that it takes to develop someone into being a champion, to understand the process of what it takes to be good at something, but to not be able to employ that on myself because A, I don't know what I'm talking about, and B, I don't have the authority to do that even if I did in someone else's
Yeah.
program. So,
Yeah.
there's all of these different competing issues that I'm having to I call it removing the scaffolding. I have to remove all of this scaffolding of who I am
Yeah.
and just allow myself to be completely open, exposed, and vulnerable and this allow this journey of learning to just develop at the pace. And I'm at a point, I've been sick for the last week. You can probably hear it I'm a little stopped up, but I've been sick for the last week. This is really the first week that I've taken off since I started almost 2 years ago. And it's
Oh
like,
man.
I know. And it's like, hey,
Man.
guess what? My shoulder doesn't hurt. Guess what? I can get out of bed this
That's
morning.
right.
You know,
Yeah.
but
Good to be back.
it takes me. I'm a stubborn old man. It takes me,
Yeah.
learning the hard way that I have to pace myself.
Yeah. But you know what? It could be the old age too, but it's that determination you have. That I'm going for the win. You know what I mean? You're a winner already in other areas, so why not win in this one? You know what I mean? Like when you were saying you did the gymnastics. When did you start in gymnastics?
So I started when I was 6. My mom ran a gymnastics school. I have a sister who's 6 years older than me. She was extremely successful in the sport. So I started when I was 6, and I did it all the way through high school. I started teaching when I was 12. And
Man.
I've owned 3 gymnastic schools and tanked all 3 of them.
Wow.
I'm a very good coach. I'm a horrible businessman, and
Got it.
yeah. So yeah, pay your taxes on time, people. If that's one piece of advice I can give you, they don't play with
There
that.
you go. Because Uncle Sam's coming for his piece, and most
Yeah,
time it's all of it.
Uncle Sam's gonna take some skin too. He don't care. Yeah.
He don't
You think
care, man.
you think your coaches don't give a shit? Uncle Sam don't give a fuck. So let me just let everybody know that.
At all. At all.
So
Man,
I have learned
trust
that
me.
the hard way. But yeah,
Man.
Yeah, so it's been something that I've done my entire life up until around 2020 when I was getting back into law. And
Okay.
and so yeah, and so now my life is focused on security and focused on education, and I do content creation. My degree is in marketing and communication, so
Oh man, that's
that's
awesome,
something that
dude.
I want to really push, and I want to push it on the jiu-jitsu side. So um, yeah, it's just we all have
Man.
winding roads that lead us to where we are today.
Yeah, man. But you have a huge gambit of successes. I love it, man. You basically what you've been successful in every area you tried. And that's cool. You know what I
Moderately,
mean? Yeah.
moderately, yeah,
Yeah. Failure is
subjectively.
okay.
We tend to equate financial gain with success, and
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
and again, this is
Yeah.
um, evolution of thought. I really, in recent months, have looked back at some of the things that I've done and been like, you were successful. Whether you still have that business or not, whether you made $1 million or not is irrelevant. You had a goal, you had something that you wanted to do. You did it. And look at these people that you helped. Look at these people that you got into school on
Bingo.
scholarship. I have I have former students that are doctors now. I have two former students that are doctors.
Wow.
And I played a part
Holy
in
cow.
that. I played a part in them being able to go to school and not have to pay for that. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's some success there. There is, yeah.
That is cool, man. I was listening to a guy, it was a lady, I think it was, thinking about the best part of getting to heaven. I don't, regardless of where you believe or not, that's not one of those. But she said the best part of going to heaven was when she gets to heaven is to see all the people she helped that she didn't know she helped. I
Mm,
was like, that'd be pretty cool.
yeah.
That'd be pretty cool,
Uh,
man. Man, so what's next for you, man? What's going on next for you? What's your next project? What's going on other than going into the gym and choking a couple people and not get choked out for the day?
the only thing that I am focused on right now is my son graduates from college with his doctorate in June,
So, man, that's
and
awesome.
that is just that's absolutely amazing. So that's my next big thing. Jiu-jitsu wise, I think that I have another tournament coming up in May, if I'm not mistaken. And so yeah,
Man, yeah. Yeah.
it's just continuing to do this. I really enjoy jiu-jitsu, and I want to get to a point. I think that this sport is very indicative of my entire life experience.
Okay.
My entire life experience, I've never been comfortable or content. I've always had anxiety. I've always had, high functioning depression, and I've always had a fear. I have avoided fights my entire life. I'm not a small guy. You've seen me, right? I'm not a small
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
But I've
Yeah.
avoided confrontation. I've avoided fights. I've avoided pain. I've avoided trauma. And so with jujitsu, it's like almost like stress inoculation, like putting myself in these
Okay.
situations where like,
Yeah.
hey, this dude is on me and I have to do something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I've looked back, the first competition that I ever did, I went to a competition 1 month. It was like almost 3 weeks after I started jujitsu. I went
Oh
to my
man.
first competition.
Oh man.
I'm gonna share this with you and your viewers. At the time I'm 270. The guy that I went up against, and I mean no disrespect to this guy, he was like 400 and something pounds. I mean,
So you're
just
like, I'm gonna kill this guy.
this dude
That's what
like,
you're
"No,
thinking.
no, kill me, right?" So, I don't know anything about jujitsu. I took
Yeah.
karate when I was like 7 or 8, and I'm
Yeah.
training for 3 weeks, and I walk in there and I'm just like, and so we bump hands, and I grab this guy, grips first, and in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, get him moving. So I start spinning him. I'll send you the video. I start spinning him in a
Yeah.
circle, and then I inside leg trip him. And so everybody's
Oh,
like,
man.
oh, right. I jump on this guy, and I'm doing the old guy white belt Americana. The dude's arm is like over here. And I'm just like,
Trying to crank it the wrong.
I'm cranking it like in 7 different directions, right? And so the guy turtles up. He turtles up, and I get on his back. And the week before, we had gone over rear naked chokes from the turtle, right?
Yeah.
But instead of like putting any hooks, I'm like on this guy's back, but he's 400 and something pounds. So it's like me being on top of the hood of a Beetle Volkswagen. And I can hear my coaches going, "You're too high. You're too high. You're too high." And the dude just goes, "Eh," and I fall right over, right?
Hello?
And like a walrus, he just goes and climbs on top of me, and like he gets in side control, and they're yelling, "Frame, frame," and every frame is just mushing into his body, mushing it.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing to frame on, right? So my point in bringing all that up is that that was my first competition. I had no real understanding of what I've done, but every subsequent competition that I've gone to since then, I've gone in with a game plan, and I've gone in thinking about what I wanted to do, and I've competed worse. When I look at that
Mhm.
video versus every other video, even though my technique and my understanding of jiu-jitsu is far superior now than it was on day one. On day one, I was just moving. I
Yeah. Yeah.
wasn't overthinking. I was just like, hey,
Exactly. No plan, just going
right,
in there. Yeah.
2 weeks ago, I'm like, I got to get grips. I got to get grips first. And I'm thinking, and I go,
Yeah.
the dude who was 400 pounds, I was like, yup. You know what I mean? Like,
Let's just go. Yeah. Because you didn't
so,
know any better. You didn't know any better.
right. But at the end of the day, that's the difference between the gap. Wow. The gap between unconscious incompetence and unconscious competence is that big.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the guy, look, whether you I'm not stating any political stance right now.
There it
Barack
is.
Obama, Barack Obama, who is a Rhodes Scholar, Harvard graduate attorney, was president.
Yeah. Yeah.
Donald Trump, who I don't think graduated college, however you view him, he was president. The people that are in the middle are the ones who never make it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah.
The guy who's on the street and gets into a street fight and just swings wildly, he can knock the person out, and so can Conor McGregor.
Exactly. Exactly.
The guy who's training and going to boxing class, and he's learned a little something, that's the guy that tries to set the punch up and gets double
And gets
legged
killed.
and gets pinched.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So there's something to be said for just go out there and compete. And that's what
like
I've been
that,
telling
yeah.
myself for the last like 20, like, the last couple of days. It's like, bro, you're thinking so much that you're actually regressing. You've got to
Yeah.
just go and just allow yourself to do jujitsu. Just allow yourself to do it.
Exactly.
You know what to do. You knew what to do.
Your training's going to kick in. Your training's going to kick in anyway.
Yeah.
Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I like that, man.
Yes. Yes. You got to turn this
That's
off.
awesome. Yeah, brother, man, you've got to send me those videos. When you do your next one, where's it going to be?
I think it's in Salem. Yeah, a lot of our competitions are in Salem.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, yeah, man. Well, shoot me some videos, man, because I would love to see it, man. I love it, man. Win, lose, or draw, man. I just look
Yes,
at the
sir.
action, man. What is this
sir.
brother doing, man? That's awesome, man. David, I tell you, bro, this has been awesome, man. You worked on my mind today. I like that, man. I like the way you
appreciate
think.
it.
I like the stuff you're putting on out there. But before we get you out of here, man, give us everything you have, all the place they can reach you, your YouTubes, everything.
So my YouTube channel is called White Belt
Okay.
Goons, Goons, and the YouTube channel is for me to document my journey, but also to leave breadcrumbs for men
Yeah.
over the age of 40 who are just starting out in jiu-jitsu. I know that there are so many pages that are dedicated to
yeah.
the new jiu-jitsu practitioner over 30.
Mhm.
There's even some great pages for guys over the age of 50. I know that Roy Dean has an amazing channel,
Yeah.
Jiu-Jitsu
Yep.
over 50, right? But
Yeah.
for people like me, you're in that weird in-between where you're not super old, but you're not in that young range anymore. And for a lot
Yeah.
of us entering into this sport, it's so exciting and it's so alluring, but I've seen so many guys just in the gym that I train in. I've seen so many guys my age come and go in a year and a half that it's been crazy. So I would love for
Wow.
people to come
Wow.
onto my channel, to watch the videos, to hear my perspective, to watch me
I
document
like it.
going to these
I like
tournaments
it.
and
I
tripping
like
over
it.
my own feet. And ultimately, at some point in time, you know, I'm going to move out of this white belt range in terms of promotion, but I hope to always keep this mindset and be aware that there's people like myself who are starting and need some sort of guidance.
Yeah. I
On
love it,
Instagram, you can
man.
find me on Instagram. You can find me at Atypical Security Guard. You'll see a lot of security guard centered content on that page. I put up a lot of jiu-jitsu stuff as well. But those are my two channels. You've got the White Belt Goons on YouTube and Atypical Security Guard on Instagram.
Awesome, brother, man. I appreciate you more than you know, man. This has been awesome. Thanks for coming on today, and we'll talk to you soon, my brother.
I appreciate you so much, bro.
Lines on my face like cracks in the road. Still chasing fire through the years half slow. Weights on my back, sweating